The bar was alive with noise that night. Cigarette smoke twisted up toward the dim lights, laughter mixed with curses, and the clatter of glasses made quieter voices nearly impossible to hear. This was a place of chaos and shadows, where tough men wore leather jackets and tattoos like badges, and the small, fragile lives of the staff behind the counter went unnoticed. Emily was one of them, a quiet waitress moving through the chaos with a humble and graceful presence that no one seemed to pay attention to. She didn't seek the spotlight. She wore simple jeans and a white button-up shirt, kept her hair tied neatly back, and moved swiftly, finishing her tasks efficiently. But behind her calm expression and gentle smile, Emily carried a storm she had never shared, a burden few could even guess. That night, a gang of bikers entered the bar. Their laughter was too loud, their movements aggressive, and they demanded attention as if the room existed solely for them. Emily kept her head down, focusing on her work, hoping to go unnoticed. But fate had other plans. One biker, tall and broad with tattoos crawling up his arms and a cruel smirk on his face, grew impatient. He started to target her, mocking her, testing her patience and trying to break her composure. When Emily refused to show fear, his anger flared. Right there in the middle of the bar, he grabbed her shirt and tore it open, a cruel smirk on his face. Shocked gasps filled the room. Some people even laughed. But then, something completely unexpected happened. The crowd had been ready to witness embarrassment, weakness, and vulnerability. Instead, what they saw left everyone frozen. Across Emily's chest, bold and unyielding, was a tattoo of the United States Marine Corps emblem. It wasn't just a design. It told a story of sacrifice, of hard battles, and of courage that ran far deeper than any visible scars. Suddenly, the noise stopped. Even the biker who had torn her shirt hesitated, his hand shaking, his mean grin disappearing. In that instant, it became clear to everyone present. Emily was not just a waitress. She was a Marine. If you believe in kindness, hidden strength, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Tale Trust. Your support helps keep these powerful stories alive. Emily stood firm, her breathing steady, her eyes focused and unshaken. The tattoo on her chest wasn't something she showed off, nor something she wanted attention for. It was part of who she was, a memory etched into her skin for reasons far beyond pride. She had joined the Marines when she was young, not for glory, but to escape the cycle of poverty and hardship she had been born into. Her life had already been full of battles long before the military, but the Marines had strengthened her, shaping her spirit in ways few could imagine. She had experienced things that most of the men in that bar could never understand. Friends lost in combat, nights filled with fear, days where surviving was the only goal. When she came back home, she carried all of it quietly. She took small jobs, blended into everyday life, and hoped no one would ever ask about the tattoo that held more pain than pride. But that night, in that bar, the truth of her life could no longer be hidden. Silence fell over the room as the weight of her experiences pressed down on every person watching. The biker who had ripped her shirt stepped back, visibly shaken. His false confidence crumbled the moment he saw what he had exposed. He had been expecting to humiliate her, but instead, he found honor, and he knew immediately that he didn't belong in her presence. The men behind him shifted uneasily. Some looked away, others fidgeted, embarrassed for having laughed. The truth had cut through the chaos, silencing even the loudest, most drunken voices. But Emily said nothing. She didn't boast or demand attention. She simply adjusted her torn shirt, held her head high, and returned to her work as if nothing had happened. That quiet composure spoke louder than any words ever could. From that moment on, the regulars in the bar began to see her in a new light. She was no longer just the quiet woman who served drinks and cleared tables. She was a warrior, carrying scars deeper than leather and chains, a fighter who earned respect instead of pity. In the days that followed, the story of that night began to spread quietly through the town, leaving an impression that would not be forgotten. People began to notice Emily in ways they never had before. Customers who had once ignored her now offered greetings and words of thanks. Strangers expressed their appreciation for her military service, even though she had never sought recognition. Slowly, those who had looked down on her realized they had never truly seen the strength she had carried all along. What no one could see, however, was the private battle Emily continued to fight. Her time in the military had left invisible wounds, restless nights, memories that haunted her, and a loneliness that ran deep. Her job at the bar was more than a paycheck. It was a way to stay busy, to keep her mind from slipping into darker thoughts. And even while quietly carrying her own pain, she found ways to help others. She covered shifts for younger workers, listened to the worries of lonely patrons, and quietly gave extra food to the hungry drifter who sometimes came by. Her struggles never stopped her from bringing comfort and kindness to those around her. The biker never came back to that bar. Maybe shame kept him away. Maybe it was fear. But everyone who had seen what happened that night never forgot it. In that single moment, Emily had shown them all that true strength isn't about being loud or aggressive. It's quiet, steady, and unwavering. Strength doesn't need to be shown off. It only needs to be revealed. Years later, when the bar finally closed and the story of that night became a distant memory, Emily's name still carried meaning. To some, she was the waitress with the marine tattoo. To others, she was the woman who taught them to respect what they couldn't see. But for those who truly knew her, she was proof that every person we overlook has a story. And some of those stories can change the way we see the world. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Tale Truss. Your Sabrine support keeps these powerful lessons alive. Special request. Before you go, leave a comment below. Share which part of Emily's story touched you the most. Your words might inspire someone else. Sometimes, the strongest people aren't the ones who shout the loudest or fight the hardest. They are the ones who carry their struggles quietly and still choose to stand tall. Emily's story reminds us that behind every calm or ordinary face there can be a history we may never fully understand. The world is quick to judge, quick to laugh, and quick to dismiss those who seem ordinary. But many of the most remarkable people walk among us unnoticed, using their strength not for themselves, but to protect and support others. That night in the bar was more than just a confrontation. It was a reflection of how society often overlooks the courage of those who serve. How easily we forget the sacrifices quietly carried by men and women who have worn a uniform. Emily didn't need applause or recognition. Her actions spoke louder than any cheers ever could. She never sought approval, and she certainly didn't want recognition. All she wanted was a quiet life, to do her job well, and to find some peace in a world that was often loud and chaotic. But when circumstances forced her into the spotlight, she displayed a strength that could shut down cruelty, earn respect, and remind everyone that true dignity cannot be taken away. Her story is about much more than one night in a bar. It represents the hidden heroes we encounter every day. The single parents working double shifts, the veterans carrying unseen wounds, ordinary people quietly facing battles with extraordinary courage. They may never ask for acknowledgement, but they deserve it nonetheless. So the next time you meet someone who seems quiet, tired, or ordinary, think of Emily. Remember that beneath their surface, there may be a story of courage and resilience, capable of inspiring everyone around them.